Welcome. Let's solve some of the questions which have been asked in your NET 2024 examination, which was held in August. Now, this question talks about the Swayamprabha channels. We have covered an extensive lecture on that. We had already covered the Swayamprabha and the Swayam channels in our previous lecture series, but based on what has been asked in this year examination, we have covered the names and the themes as well. So, the lectures have been updated. You can follow the link below for more information and the updated series of lectures, right? So now here it's a relatively direct question, right? So Prabodh, which is channel 3, talks about social sciences and behavioral sciences. Vidik, which is 6, talks about vidhi, right? So vidhi is the legal process, the behavior, the way in which certain things should be done. So law and legal aspects. Then we have Saraswat. Saraswat, as the name suggests, Saraswati, so it deals with education and home science, psychology. Prabandhan, as the name suggests, it is management, so it deals with management studies, information and communication. So basically the Hindi names of the traditional subjects and the aspects, and if you know that, you are all set with that. But what you need to remember for your next exam, this time the question was relatively easy because the names you could decode and you could actually mark them correctly. But if it is asked what is channel 3, the name of it, then you would have to memorize, right? So channel 3 is Prabodh, 4 is Saraswat, 5 is Prabandhan, 6 is Vidik. So those are the things that you must memorize and could be part of your answer. Now rhetorical structures, extremely important question. We have covered this in detail, comprehensively, specifically the communication under Aristotelian view. So Aristotelian rhetorical structures we have covered separately, and then the various forms of rhetorical structure. So here the only thing that we need to remember is clusters, form, genre and narratives. All of these are form of rhetorical structures, and in communication this helps us to examine any text which is given, right? So this has been covered extensively, relatively new lecture that we have added this time based on this question. So go through it, all the details comprehensively you will find under the lecture. The next is a very interesting question. Now this is a core question of statistics about t-test. So what do you do under t-test? Under t-test you have two groups, right? You identify the differences in the means in the two groups, then you test those two groups. So what kind of test you would apply? You can find out the correlation coefficient, you can find out the regression coefficient. So all of those would come under t-test, right? If it is more than 2, then you would go to f-test, ANOVA, right? So here when it is only 2 groups, we use t-test. So 1 is correct, 3 and 4 are correct because they help us find out regression and correlation coefficient. So this is about a very basic question from statistics. Statistical questions related to research often asked these days. However, these are part of your paper 2. In most of the subjects you would see research as one of the units of your NET paper 2. So cover this carefully. The next is the first generation electronic computers were based on what? They were based on vacuum tubes. The next generation was transistor, and then we evolved with electronic computers and electronic technology along the 4th generation. So there has been a constant upgradation from vacuum tube, we can say, to transistor, to integrated circuit, and finally to the dual core CPU processor, as it has been mentioned in the choices, right? So here the first generation is being asked, and the first generation is vacuum tube. So 3 is the right option. The next is the collection of students' work in an area showing growth, self-reflection and achievement is called as what? It is called as portfolio. Now usually portfolios are done with subjects related to arts, painting, drawings. So you create whatever you have gone through over the days, and then That's a compodium, right? So it's a performance based analysis for any professional skill set, and therefore it helps us understand the self reflection. The last question that we will discuss today is Baba Saheb Ambedkar. He was associated with which of the following organizations? Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a social reformer. He fought for Dalit rights. He was one of the founding fathers of Constitution of India. He was also the Minister of Law and Justice. But among this, he had an important role to play with some of the colleges. What were those? Khalsa College, Mumbai, Siddharth College, Mumbai, and Milind College, Aurangabad. Not related to Kolkata, not related to Bangalore. His main area of work was mainly Maharashtra. And even if you know that, this is what you can attempt, right? So Khalsa College was established in 1937. Then you have Siddharth College, which was established in 1946. He was also involved in the establishment of Milind College in Aurangabad. So those were some of the questions. Every time we have one of the questions on major social reformer and their educational contribution. It could be in the form of where did they themselves got educated, or which educational institutions they established. The major ancient educational institutions, the educational institutions established during pre-independence, post-independence, the major governor-generals, viceroys, or British personals who established some of the universities are also asked. So again, we have updated a separate lecture based on that in the lecture series. So when you go on to doorstep, go on to the lecture sequence, you would find the contribution of British scholars towards education in school and higher education. So 2 separate videos, and that covers extensively the role of the Britishers in education. And then we have a separate video where we have Indian social reformers and their educational contribution. So these 3 videos extremely important, a lot to memorize, but yes, they are asked every time. Very scoring. Prepare well and you are all set with this question. So these were some of the questions that we have discussed today. We will be coming up with next series of questions. Stay tuned. Have a good day. Please subscribe.